Morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here this morning for this press conference. Is everybody live that needs to be live, or whatever Facebook Live that we're doing? My name is Robert Thayer. I'm the Assistant Sheriff here in Kings County. I'm here speaking on behalf of Sheriff Dave Robinson, who could not be here this morning for this event. And as we start out this event, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to introduce some of the speakers that are going to be here and some of our local law enforcement officials that are here in the room. That I know that standing amongst here today is Chief Parker Sever with the Hanford Police Department, Chief Darrell Smith with the Lemoore Police Department, Chief Rusty Stivers with the Avenel Police Department, and Ruben Shortnassy with the Corcoran Police Department. We have our local DA, Keith Fagundes, up here behind us, as well as McGregor Scott, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of California. I believe I got that correct, along with FBI officials and DOJ officials, California Highway Patrol Assistant Chief out of the CHP office in Fresno. So again, we appreciate you being here. Excuse me as I have my notes here with me. This case involving the Nuestra Familia, the Norteño gang structure, and their communications and orders from current members residing in, or current prisoners residing in California State Prison at Pleasant Valley. They were orchestrating a variety of crimes over an extended period of time in this county, Tulare County, Fresno County, and Kern County. Our local major crimes task force began looking into those crimes about 10 months ago, but really concentrating on it in January of 2019. As we began looking into the Nuestra Familia impacting this community, we quickly realized the need for additional resources, and our counterparts with the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, DEA, just a whole host of partners came on board with us and helped us through this many month-long investigation that you saw taken down yesterday. The investigation to as the Nuestra Familia, and it was operated in Kings County. Within the first 30 to 45 days, we understood that there were members of this gang who resided in Tulare County that had major impact onto the influence of the gangs here in Kings County. We reached out to Sheriff Boudreaux, who quickly brought many of his own resources into this case and essentially opened up a two-county-wide investigation. In fact, on takedown day, it was large enough that we had a single command post here in Kings County and a second one established out in Tulare County. So, Sheriff, thank you for those resources. During the investigation and prior to yesterday, the investigation had netted 40 felony arrests, 20 gun seizures, and 7 of those being fully automatic weapons of some sort, and 11 pounds of methamphetamine. And I want to preface that was prior to yesterday, and we'll get into the total statistics here in a moment. As of yesterday, June 18th, 55 search warrants and 58 arrest warrants were executed in Kings, Tulare, Fresno, and Kern counties. The charges range from conspiracy to commit robbery, narcotics trafficking, manufacturing, sales, possession. There's some murder ties back into that I'll cover here in a second. As many of you probably know by now, hours before the 6 a.m. execution of our search warrants, we had surveillance teams in place at target locations. We had SWAT teams ready to execute these search warrants. We had aircraft in the air, all in preparation for the 6 a.m. Execution of the search warrant. Those few hours prior to that search warrant, one of the suspects of a home invasion that took place down in the city of Corcoran was shot during that home invasion and was brought to a local hospital and dropped off. It was reported at that point in time that he had been shot in the city of Hanford. Hanford detectives rolled out on that, could not establish a crime scene. And about that time, we started picking up on this case, that we were up on live wires on this gang, against these gang members, that we were picking up the remnants of this home invasion robbery that occurred down in Corcoran. As part of our surveillance teams that were out on target locations in that city, we had surveillance members that landed one of the suspects involved in that home invasion at the house with the car, with the gun that was used in that home invasion. From there, vehicles were exchanged, and we quickly got teams on place into that vehicle that was leaving the city of Corcoran, coming back to the city of Hanford. And mind you, I want to preface too that this home invasion robbery too was orchestrated and ordered from state prison. One of our deputies in a marked patrol unit, along with multiple members of the Department of Justice who were staged ready for the 6 a.m. execution of those search warrants, initiated a felony traffic stop on this vehicle. Excuse me for just a moment. I want to make sure I get these names correctly. The driver of that vehicle, Jose Quintero, pulled to the shoulder of the road and later told our investigators that his passenger, Freddie Quare, the best terms that I can produce to you, is basically psyching himself up to confront law enforcement. And Freddie Quare, almost immediately after that vehicle came to a stop, abruptly exited the passenger door and, as I would call it, an isosceles fashion, confronted law enforcement, and what they perceived was to be fired upon by a weapon. 3 members of the Department of Justice and our single deputy that was on scene fired upon Mr. Quare, striking him multiple times, and then rendered aid immediately and had him transported to a hospital. My understanding is that he's still in the hospital. He's being treated. The driver, Jose Quintero, was also hit by gunfire. He was treated. He was transported to a hospital. He was treated and he was released. The original person, the original trio, those 2 included, and David Hernandez, who was our gunshot victim, committed the home invasion robbery in Corcoran. And our investigators on this officer-involved shooting case is working now with Corcoran Police Department to shore up that crossover. As for the officer-involved shooting, and for the transparency back out to the public, in this county we have what we call the critical incident team. It's comprised of all local law enforcement agencies and memorandums of understandings that's signed by all the chiefs and the sheriff to investigate these matters. So in this case, members of the Hanford Police Department, detectives, members of the Sheriff's Office, and as well as Kings County District Attorney are still in the process of investigating this case. I do want to note that, as I had mentioned previously, we had aircraft up. Gracious that a fixed-wing CHP aircraft was overhead of this officer-involved shooting and had captured the entire incident on video. At this point, I cannot release that video. I can't really comment any more on the specifics of that case because there are still witnesses that were driving by that have reached out to our office that have seen the incident, and we can't divulge that until we get those witness statements back into our office. As you will hear from these other speakers up here, this is a dangerous street gang that has infiltrated our communities. They're organized, and the orders come from state prison, and we'll speak on that. I know the Attorney General is here, and he will speak on that here in a moment. But we're thankful. This this operation was successful. We have dismantled, to the best of our abilities, the upper rankings of this structure, and we hope and pray now for a peaceful summer and months to come as we have disorganized this organization. As for some statistics of what took place overall, federal, state, and local law enforcement partners who worked successfully to bring this organization down, that we are announcing today the arrest of 96 individuals and the seizure of 74 firearms, including 14 fully auto firearms. We had discovered through this gun kits converting Glock handguns, similar to the one that I'm carrying, into fully automatic machine pistols. Very frightening to have witnessed and seen the videos from these gang members depicting the firepower of these weapons. All of these arrests were part of the multi-agency operation which I have spoken of, which reached back to September of last year, but really the concentrated effort in January. Their alleged activities for those arrested include murder, drug trafficking, illegal firearms, manufacturing, trafficking, and possession, robbery, and extortion, and then again, this home invasion yesterday that was orchestrated and brought down from the prison system through the local hierarchy of the Nuestra Familia. At this point in time, prior to taking any questions, I'm going to turn the podium over to our neighboring sheriff and our partner, Sheriff Mike Boudreau.
Thank you, Assistant Sheriff. My name is Mike Boudreau. I'm the Sheriff of Tulare County. First, I want to thank the men and women in law enforcement who put this badge or shield on every day, going out and fighting danger. This job is dangerous, folks, and these gangs are sophisticated and dangerous. And our law enforcement should always be supported because of that. As you've seen, this is an incredibly sophisticated crime organization. I also want to thank my good friend, Sheriff Dave Robinson. Sheriff Robinson reached out to me in December of this last year, indicating that he had quite the sophisticated investigation taking place in regards to a very dangerous gang. Dave and I are friends, and as you can see in law enforcement, it doesn't matter the badge or shield or the patch that you wear, we're all fighting for the good cause. As you see and you've heard, that we want to overcome evil, and that's exactly what existed here with these gang members. You've heard the statistics with the guns and the violence and the danger. Immediately, we began giving every resource that we possibly could to Kings County in partnership. As we didn't become a separated law enforcement agency, we all unified and became one. In Tulare County, we began receiving information as to some of the identified criminals, many of whom we had already had information on, but hadn't quite been able to tip that domino to put people in handcuffs where they needed to be. But because of this organized group of law enforcement, we were able to develop intelligence that really helped us in identifying and putting people in jail where they need to be. In Tulare County, we had 21 search warrants that were conducted on the days of operation. And as I'm told, over 1,000 rounds of ammunition were confiscated, as well as multiple firearms, drugs, and activity as you would anticipate to be associated with gang activity. I just want to thank our federal, state, and local counterparts. I want to thank all those who were involved, including our community. Our desire truly is to make our communities as safe as we possibly can. And I think we've done a great job in doing so with this operation. But this isn't over by any means. As you'll hear, there is much to be done. And there will always be much to be done. Gangs are not going to go away, but we have to be vigilant in that fight, as you will see in what we've done here in this operation. We continue our investigations, and we will continue our investigations, and I want every gang member to hear that law enforcement here locally in Tulare and Kings County, Fresno County, the Central San Joaquin Valley, we will be coming after you. And we want you to know that we take this seriously and we take our community seriously. And the good that we see in uniform up in front of these cameras today is what we will utilize and use to make sure that our families, our churches, our parks, and our communities are safe. And I want to thank Sheriff Rob.
You all, as members of the press, are vitally important for us to get the word out to the public. It's vitally important that the public understands what law enforcement at the local, state, and federal level do every day to protect them and their communities from gangs, gang-related crime, gang violence, and obviously the whole myriad of crime that's out there. So thank you for what you do. As far as the FBI is concerned, it was an honor for us to be part of this investigation and to join this distinguished team that began the investigation. As far as nationally, criminal-based gangs and criminal enterprise organizations are a national priority for the FBI. 56 field offices across the country, and each field office has Safe Streets task forces, which are commissioned essentially to root out gang violence and criminal enterprises, and as the sheriffs mentioned, to focus on the leadership of the gang and all the way down through the rank structure to the rank and file that are committing street-level crimes. It's not just to take off the people that are easily observable on the street corner. It's to root out the whole organization. And so that's what they are commissioned to do. That's what they do every day across this country. And the task forces are comprised of local, state, and federal officers. Every one of them is. Here in this area, the Central Valley, our Fresno office has a Safe Streets task force, and our Safe Streets task force here is what joined this team in this fight against the Nuestra Familia and the Norteños here in Kings County, Tulare County, and the greater Central Valley. And so this was an important investigation, and we've joined together, as was mentioned, to take it on and to protect the community. As far as FBI resources that were brought to bear for this particular investigation, again, investigators, analysts, professional staff that joined the team, financial resources, technical resources brought to bear, and then yesterday's operation, we brought approximately 200 FBI personnel to the area. We brought folks in from our Sacramento field office, which includes our Fresno regional office. We brought folks in from our San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Las Vegas offices. We brought in both investigative teams, search teams. We brought in tactical teams in the forms of SWAT operators and SWAT teams to help with the searches and the arrests. We also brought in national assets. We brought in our hostage rescue team, which is based out of Quantico, Virginia. It's a full-time, dedicated national asset. They perform their operations globally. It's a large-scale operation, and they, because of the significance and the scale of yesterday's operation here in Kings County, those national assets, traveled here and participated and did some of the searching and arrests at one particular location. So my thanks to them. Let me just kind of conclude by echoing what the sheriff said and thanking the men and women that were part of this investigation. They dedicated a significant amount of their time and effort really around the clock and 7 days a week to ensure that the community was safe and to root out these violent gang members. They took time away from families, took time away from other commitments because they are dedicated professionals and they are committed to protecting the greater community here. And as the sheriff said, they do it every day, and they do it every day across the country. not just here in Kings County and Tulare County, across the whole Central Valley, across California, and across the country. And they, as the sheriff mentioned, put on the badge and are committed to protecting our fellow citizens. So I just want to thank them personally for their dedication and their effort. And we couldn't do it without bringing everybody together at the local, state, and federal level. It's really a great partnership, great team, and they come together and they work seamlessly together across the different agencies. And so my hat's off to them and thank them for the work that they do every day. Thank you. I want to turn it over to McGregor Scott. He is the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of California.
Thank you, Sean. Good morning. In October of 2017, then Attorney General Jeff Sessions relaunched Project Safe Neighborhoods, which is the Department of Justice's flagship initiative to work to combat violent crime in this country. And we were, each of us, the United States attorneys, tasked by the Attorney General to reach out to our local and state partners to build teams to work together to combat violence across this country. I can't help but think as I stand here today that were Attorney General Sessions here with us, he could not be more proud of what this team represents and the accomplishments that have been carried out over the last several weeks to reduce drug trafficking and violent crime in Kings and Tulare counties. It's a great day for us in law enforcement. My theme today is 1, 2, 3. One team, one fight. That has been a theme that I have pitched both in my first tenure as United States Attorney and now back in my second tenure. And as you look at the men and women who stand up here with me today, you can see that this truly is one team, one fight. City police departments, county sheriff's departments, county probation departments, district attorney's offices, the CHP, the California Department of Justice, the FBI, and the United States Attorney's Office. That is one hell of a team. And I'm very proud to be part of it, and I'm proud that we have brought our resources to assist the good citizens of these two counties. Because that, at the end of the day, is our goal, to help good, decent, law-abiding citizens go to work, live their lives, and raise their families in safe communities. 2, this is the second time in recent weeks that a notorious California prison-based violent gang whose senior leadership has faced federal charges. 2 weeks ago, we announced the charging of several members of the Aryan Brotherhood at Folsom State Prison. And today, we announced the charges of senior leadership of the Nuestra Familia prison gang who have been housed at Pleasant Valley State Prison in Fresno County. A total of 21 individuals have been charged in federal court, and they will be arraigned in coming days at the federal courthouse in Fresno. The mode of operation is remarkably similar to me in how these two gangs have conducted their business. Use of contraband cell phones inside some of California's most secure prisons by the senior leadership to communicate with associates and members on the street, to order drug trafficking, to order hits, to order robberies, to conduct the business out on the street, all from within a prison cell. And that simply is astounding to me. But I could not be more pleased that we have partnered with CDCR and the team there, with the DOJ Cal Wire team that has been instrumental in this investigation, and obviously all of our local partners in taking out the leadership of Nuestra Familia and taking them to federal court, where they're going to face some very, very serious time. This is the third time in the last decade that we have come together as a law enforcement team to take out Nuestra Familia here in Kings County. And this is, you heard the numbers, over 90 arrests, the guns that were seized, the drugs that were seized, and the combination of federal and state charges for those 90 people is going to put a very serious dent into the operations of this organization and dramatically reduce the drug trafficking and the violent crime that's taking place in these two counties. And I can assure you, if we have to come back a fourth time, we will. I want to simply give you a quick list here of everybody who's come together on this thing. Hanford Police Department, Lemoore Police Department, Corcoran Police Department, Avenal Police Department, the Kings County Sheriff, Kings County Probation, Kings County DA, the Tulare County Sheriff, the Tulare County DA, CHP, Cal DOJ, CDCR, the FBI, and the United States Attorney's Office. As I said earlier, that is a very formidable team, and I couldn't be more proud of my folks who've worked this case as well as our partners on it. I especially want to highlight the efforts of Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau and Kings County Sheriff David Robinson, Tulare County District Attorney Tim Ward, and Kings County District Attorney Keith Fagundes for the collaborative approach, the teamwork that we have taken in ensuring that the right defendant goes to the right place for prosecution to ensure the most serious penalties for the conduct that they have undertaken. I could not be more proud to stand here with all of you here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure if I covered this or not, so I'll indulge me to repeat it if I did not cover it. But then in connection with that home invasion robbery, Jose Quintero, Freddie Quer, and David Hernandez were already going to be arrested as part of the search warrant takedowns yesterday morning. Their homes and residences were targets of SWAT teams who their affiliation within the Nuestra Familia reached the matrix level that a SWAT team was the appropriate team that needed to hit those kind of houses. So had they not conducted the home invasion and had been asleep, they would have been arrested otherwise. And I want to echo just one more time, sir, to you and to Kim Sanchez, I know it's back here, that from the U.S. Attorney's Office, that federal impact, and the chiefs up here can concur with this, is really important to the local law enforcement to get those federal processes put into federal prison and outside of our counties. It really has long-lasting benefits over the long term. So again, thank you. I know Sheriff Robinson thanks both of you, and I know that Kim Sanchez, I think you had your arm twisted a little bit to take on a couple extra cases along the way. So with that, we can answer some questions. I don't know that I have all of the answers that you want or need. My understanding is that there are some boards and some pictures around here with some of the general statistics and photos of the hierarchy. Am I correct? Anybody back there? Oh, there they are. So with that, we can open it up to questions that you may have.
Assistant Sheriff, in regards to the OIS, what was the time span when that home invasion took place? In regards to home invasion until you made that stop, what time was the home invasion, and what was the time span in regards to when you guys made that traffic stop?
I do not have the exact times of, but my understanding is 4 a.m. ish is about the time of the home invasion. Somebody that has that information, you can shout it out if you know it. 3:15. And I believe the traffic stop was made about 5:30 in the morning.
And at the time of that traffic stop, it was just Jose Quintero and Freddie Quer inside that vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. So, but during the home invasion, David Hernandez was shot.
David Hernandez was shot, correct.
Do we know where Jose Quintero and Freddie Quer were going when they were pulled over?
I only speculate back to the Hanford area.
I believe from Corcoran.
From Corcoran.
Was it the same vehicle that was used in the home invasion?
No, well, I don't want to say no. There was another vehicle involved that they used to transport Hernandez to the hospital, and that had his blood evidence. We believe will be his blood evidence and weapons used. So, but I'm speculating as to whether that car that was dropped off in Corcoran was the vehicle used at this point.
The victim that was shot, was he a gang member also?
Yes, he was a gang member. He was had arrest warrants already and would have been targeted as part of the search warrants.
Was he the same gang as the two people that shot him?
Yes,
Norteños.
Norteños.
What are you doing to stop the communication between the jail and the gangs members?
Please, sir.
So let me be clear. The communications that we're describing between the senior leadership and the people out on the streets is from within the state prison. It's not the county jail that the sheriff is responsible for. And CDCR, I know, takes this issue with the utmost seriousness, and they are exploring all options and how they can try to thwart the ability of these hardened gang members serving state prison sentences from directing illegal activity out on the streets.
Of those 21 charged in federal court, how many of those are currently incarcerated in state prison, do you know?
Well, as of this morning, 0, because 2 had been housed at Pleasant Valley State Prison, and I believe yesterday they were brought to the Fresno County Jail, which is where we house federal prisoners who have ongoing cases within the federal court system in Fresno. So there are 0 at state prison now, but 2 were approximately 24 hours ago.
Were those the top 2 of the hierarchy?
Yes, sir. Mr. Castro was his nickname was Old Man. He was the OG. He was the principal guy directing and guiding the criminal activity that was going out on the street. And we now have him in the Fresno County Jail facing federal charges.
You mentioned Kern County. How much of the act share, how many warrants were served in Kern County?
Did we mention Kern? I'm not sure.
In the bulletin you did.
I don't recall. I can get you that information. I know it's on a list around here somewhere. We picked up some transports down in the Delano area, and there may have been others.
Do you know if the victim in Corcoran was part of the invasion or was part of the gang hit?
The homeowner?
Yes.
I'm not sure at this point in time.
But you're saying he was a gang member from the same gang?
The homeowner, I am not sure if there are any ties from that homeowner to any gang activity.
All right.
The 3 people that home invaded, that robbed that home were gang members.
Okay.
Do you have a motive in regards to why they were targeting this home? What was the motive?
I don't know specifically about their motive, but I know specifically that they had been ordered from the hierarchy in prison to commit robberies.
And you spoke about this gang, they were having an organization to commit crimes across the Central Valley. Can you name, like I said, we're talking about drug trafficking, talking about robbing another gang, or territorial gangs, or?
All of those that you covered, and I'd covered it earlier, from murder to extortion to gangs to weapons, trafficking, all of these things, robberies, and it really made no rhyme or reason as to what kind of robbery. They wanted robberies, and that was what the direction was from prison to the local street gangs.
What charges is Castro facing?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe it's sure.
So the 21 defendants now facing federal charges are, at this point in time, exclusively charged with the distribution of methamphetamine throughout Kings and Tulare counties. And I emphasize the words "at this time" because we continue to evaluate evidence. We still have evidence coming in from the wiretaps, and I wish to assure all of you that we're not done today with the announcement that we make, and that we will continue to build cases and bring charges as the evidence justifies going forward.
What was Castro in prison for?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody else know? We'll try to get you an answer on that, but I don't know the answer to that.
Assistant Sheriff, you talked about Freddie Quare getting out of the vehicle. He had a gun and he pointed it at the deputy and the 3 DOJ.
We're not releasing any more information on that at that point in time. Again, we have witnesses that we do not want to influence through this media event today as to what actually took place.
But earlier you made a stance that he came out with a.
Absolutely,
So-
absolutely.
Did he have something in his hand?
I'm not going to comment any further on that until we get these witnesses interviewed. But he did produce the typical isosceles shooting stance that he was going to confront and kill law enforcement.
Was
He was in the front passenger.
Correct.
Any weapons recovered?
Not commenting any further. We haven't even searched the vehicle yet.
How many gangs members are illegally? Do you have this?
Yeah, I got that. So I anticipated that question. So I asked that question this morning, and I am told that there are no illegal aliens in the persons that were arrested as part of this operation.
So another question is because California law prevent ICE to cooperate sometimes with the law enforcement. Do you think that this is one of the reasons has increased, or we have more gangs members on the street?
Because California thwarts the cooperation with ICE? Is that a softball question? Do I really get to answer that? Let me just be clear that all of us here today are dedicated to protecting the people who live in this state. And sometimes the people who pose that threat are illegal aliens. And efforts made by the legislature and the governor in California to thwart the greatest, highest level of cooperation between all levels of law enforcement only increase that level of danger to our citizens. So while ICE had no role in this operation at all, zero, you don't see anybody from ICE up here, the point you make is an appropriately valid one, which is that the state of California and the United States government have to find some way to find middle ground on this issue, because people are being killed, drugs are being trafficked, criminals are being released back out on the streets in California because of the law that California has adopted. And I don't think anybody wants that in a real world. So thank you for that question. And that'll be on the front page tomorrow, right?
So what role did the women play in this whole thing? I noticed that there's a lot of females that are in custody.
Just a whole variety. There's, I mean, I don't want to speculate on each of those, from handling finances for the gangs to orchestrating communication between all members. Just as you don't have to be male to be a gang member. It seeks no specific gender.
Mr. Ritter, you said that this is the third time in the last decade that you guys teamed up with local law enforcement to eradicate North Side Familia as well. Can we just talk in regards to why are they targeting Kings County? Why are they in Tulare County? Is there a base here that they feel comfortable to stay in?
Sure.
You know, I will speak to that. The operation he's referring to was Operation Red Soul. And we had that operation in Tulare County based off a wire as well. We have a large number of criminal street gangs that come out of the prison systems as well as from the prison that are arrested in the central San Joaquin Valley. So there's a base for that here. Also within the San Joaquin Valley, it's a pipeline. It's a pipeline up and down the state of California where you can run drugs, guns, and any other type of criminal activity. And many of that, they find their home here. We have prisons that are here locally within Kings County. And so we find that because of that, that they actually live and thrive in these communities. Operation Red Soul was very similar to this one. It was about 5 years ago. We arrested over 100 gang members of the Northern Gang affiliation. So we continue to make and tackle that fight, but again, that's another perfect example from the Attorney General in regards to the importance of continuing this fight, never letting up, because they're not going away. But neither are we. And so I hope that answers your question.
Have you released the spelling of the names of the people involved in the deputy involved shooting?
I will get you the spelling of the names. I'm not sure of them at this point in time. But with that,
Are they on the mugs at all? Are the mugs there?
I believe so, but if not, I'll get them to you. I'll be around here in a minute. But with that, again, we thank you for coming out. That's all of the time that we're going to commit to this. And again, to our federal and state and local partners, again, we thank you for teaming up, and I'm sure we're going to find another gang of some sort to tackle. So without further ado, again, thank you.